Like, for what?
The meeting doesn't start till 6:30, does it?
I'm just testing it.
Get it ready, you know?
You don't have any attendees I got Roxanne. Can you hear us, Roxanne?
You couldn't have
Hi.
Candace.
Yeah.
Candace.
Thanks, Larry.
Are you gonna see Roxanne?
We're on,
I,
we're right now, I think we're on camera.
will you give
We're
her
on
that?
camera.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me, Roxanne?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi.
Can you?
How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Thank you so much
Can
for
you-
joining us today.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. It's a little delayed, but we can hear you.
Okay,
And then as long as if you need to, just raise your hand,
okay.
okay? I'll be right back.
Mhm. Mhm.
Back on. Good evening, everyone. Today's Monday, August 12th. We're having our regular city council meeting today. It is now 6:30 p.m. We're doing a call to order and we will start with roll call. Lydia Bryan Valdez, Mayor Pro Tem.
Gail Hudgens.
Hey, well, there.
Cynthia McCall.
Josh Katz, city attorney.
Thank you so much. We'll now do the pledge of allegiance.
And Roxanne O'Neill on Zoom.
Pardon me, Roxanne O'Neill, thank you so much.
Oh, sorry,
Thank you.
Roxanne.
Thank you. I didn't hear the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Does anyone have any public comments for us? Comments will be taken from the audience on agenda or non-agenda related topics. The city council will make no comments and take no action during public comments. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Does anyone have any public comments? Not at this time. Our fourth item on the agenda is to consider and take appropriate action to choose a new mayor. Mr. Katz, our posting for mayor candidacy closed on the 8th. at 5 p.m. We had one candidate, one applicant, which was the perfect applicant for the job. We're so grateful. Mr. Harvey Davis has been our mayor in the past. He's a CPA. We could not ask for a better mayor for the city of Hayes. We will always be grateful to him for offering to serve as mayor. It's a blessing to us all. And at this time, may I ask for someone to bring it to the floor?
Sure, you can ask for a motion.
A motion? Would anyone like to file the motion so that Mr. Harvey Davis can be nominated as mayor?
Make that motion to nominate, appoint
Appoint.
Harvey Davis as the mayor of the city of Hayes.
Thank you so much.
I second the motion.
Thank you so much. Would like to take a vote? Can you hear me, Roxanne?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, at this time, we'd like to call a vote to appoint Mr. Harvey Davis as our mayor for the term beginning August 12th through May 2026. At this time, all council members in favor of, please raise your hand.
Mhm.
Thank you, Councilman Valdez. Thank you, Councilwoman Blake. Thank you so much, Councilwoman O'Neill. And Dr. Hudgens
I have to recuse myself.
will be recusing herself for the record this evening. We have 3 in favor, 1 recused. I must abstain at this time as acting as Mayor Pro Tem. It is my honor to pass the gavel. At this time, I will serve as Mayor Pro Tem and pass the gavel to Mr. Harvey Davis. Yes. Yeah. Now, Cynthia, do we have the documents for Mayor Harvey Davis?
Okay, let me see if I got.
Mhm.
Okay.
Would you like to do that at the podium, sir? Would you like to do that at the podium
This photo.
Right here.
so we can take your picture?
What do we do? Well, I have them in order of what he
He's
needs.
going to take his oath.
Well,
Yeah.
the guy today told me that I talked to that he should do a statement of office first.
I
Okay,
think that's part of the oath, yeah.
that's part of the oath. You
Well,
Yeah.
he can do this first
he reads his oath.
and then certification second.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then the oath third.
I think,
It's the
yeah,
same
there's,
document.
there's 2 different
Yeah.
affirmations that public officials have to make, and I think, can I see the number 3 that you have?
There's already oath. That's the oath.
Okay,
And then he told me this. And then
that you keep on file.
if he wants to,
Should I move the
if
podium?
he
to
doesn't
the front
want it
so we can
public,
see the podium?
You can
he
choose
can
to fill
choose
that.
to do that.
That's right. Okay,
I can
yeah,
take
start, yeah, I think the order you have is good.
Oh, from years ago. This is where the mayor always is.
So should I read that?
Would you like to go to the podium, Mayor Harvey?
Not sure.
This is.
We can.
Harvey,
So we can take your picture. Cynthia, would you like to stand so we can do this at the podium? Please.
Take your paperwork with it. Go the paperwork.
okay.
You gotta watch it close.
With the quarter or something.
Put down my name.
You turn
Put down mayor.
You can stand.
the computer this way so you can see it.
The camera's here.
City.
Oh, I'm on camera?
Yes, everyone is.
Oh.
Every time.
Here's the cam, right
Right
there.
here.
Oh, you did.
It's on a tripod. It's a great deal. Don't worry.
Usually it's the back of my,
Yeah, it's,
that's fine.
so should I read this then?
Yes, please.
I, Harvey Davis, do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value or promise any public official or employment for giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever case may be, so help me God. Title of the position, Mayor, City of Hayes, and under penalty of perjury, I declare that I've read this statement and that the facts are true. So I'm signing it.
Good.
And today is 8/12/2024. Okay?
And this signature. Show picture of it.
So presiding officer of the governing body as the authority responsible for having the official ballot prepared, I hereby certify that the following candidates are unopposed for election up to office or for election scheduled to be held. And is this okay to sign since there wasn't any election?
Yeah,
Uh,
I would cross out as an appointment.
Yes,
Correct?
you sign, yes.
I'm gonna sign as mayor. 8/12/24. Okay.
This is the oath of office. I'm gonna have to,
Read it.
and then I gotta
Notarize it.
notarize.
You read the oath, Cynthia, or he reads it? I think he does.
No.
I think I remember Gail reading it. What did you think?
You read your own, sir.
What?
Let me get this.
So read your own.
Okay. Okay, I, Harvey Davis, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of mayor, City of Hayes of the state of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. So I'm signing. She's gonna notarize. So. I think I'm in place, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, sir, Mayor.
Wait a minute, we're on first.
You have another document to sign?
What's wrong? No. Okay.
Welcome aboard, Mayor Harvey.
Oh, thank you.
Again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you. This is the hats.
And now, after all the formalities have been taken care of, welcome, Mr. Mayor Harvey Davis.
Where's the agenda?
Wait a minute. I gotta take all this.
There should be a copy of the agenda. No, this one.
No.
That one right here.
You should be done with it.
Works better. Everywhere.
Okay, so now that I have all the power. Well, there. Make some changes out.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
changes.
Oh, my goodness. What changes? Here we go. Harvey's back in town.
Now, I first want to thank Lydia for all her hard work since we hadn't had a mayor, you've been stepping in. And that's good, but your work is gonna maybe increase,
That's right. That's it.
cause you made some promises.
Absolutely. I will leave off,
But
that's
I
right.
do have the, I operate where the mayor pro tem is invited to everything. Cause I want the mayor pro tem to know what's going on in case I have another medical event. And then gone for 3 months, and so you're invited to every meeting. And you'll be copied on every email,
Thank you.
and you're expected to be on top of everything.
Of course.
And I appreciate all your help
Thank
too.
you, sir.
And
We
Of
all do.
course. Thank you so much.
this is a business meeting. And so we need to operate as a business meeting. And I would implore people, if you want to speak, you can speak as long as you want to, about whatever you want to. Although it should be on the agenda item, but do raise your hand and let me recognize. And so we'll try to stick to the business part. Now, Mr. Katz,
Do you want to do trustee public access of information?
I'll look at that later.
Okay.
That's-
Yeah, because you're gonna have to sign all this, okay?
Are there any other things on the agenda that you need to talk to the city about?
There are a couple items in here that I see that I think are items that I'll probably brief the council on,
Okay, would you like us to take them up now?
whatever the city's preference is. I'm at your service. If you want me for your whole meeting, I'm here for the whole meeting. If you want me here for part of it, I'd be happy to be whatever you desire.
Okay, and well, we're gonna do the budget. So I think it'd be good if you stay for.
Sure, and there's an update on the Hayes Commons mud that I can deliver as well. I think it's unfinished business high.
Yeah. Well, then, in that case, I'm gonna take up Mr. Rashuber's item on the agenda so that he can get that going, and he'll be free to stay or go. Is that okay with you?
That works. Thank you so much, Mayor Dan.
So we'll go to item number J. Receive update and take appropriate action regarding upgrades to City of Hayes and Elliott Ranch compensation.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Council. It's great to be for the person. Not on my computer. And I apologize for the last meeting. I was thinking with the second cheat sheet, and it was actually. I do apologize. So I did want to mention, just briefly on the agenda, in case I leave. I am preparing the officer's great direction and assistance. I look at him. He filed testimony on the case. And he's provided different materials that was filed by the milestone with the ECEQ. I'm reviewing those and be preparing written testimony. I just want to let the council aware of that. So moving on to the Elliott pump stations, I think the big item that kind of reoccurred is the auto dollar situation. So I visited with Mr. Zach King, and he suggests I call Mr. Keith Siebert, which I did. I visit with Mr. Siebert. Keith is a top-notch electrician. He does pump stations, and does all the dollars. So I visited with Keith this afternoon, and he was extremely aware of the situation. He said he would put his eyes on it and try to get that resolved as soon as possible. So that's for $4 and all dollar. The,
May I, sir?
also, I have,
Ms. Mayor Pro Tem has a question.
Sir, is the auto dialer working on our pump? On our well,
it's working.
on ours?
Mr. King said that it's working.
Okay, with my understanding, it was repaired the last
It's
incident.
on it.
Okay, not in.
That's my understanding.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So, since, there's three big projects, and one is kind of the same project, it's merchant generators at the Tankerwoods Pump Station.
Are we finished with the pump station? Item J, that's all we're on.
Okay, but the generators are related. I may just open up these agenda items to be great.
Okay,
Yeah, you can open up multiple.
yeah,
agenda items
sure.
if they're related.
So we're,
I think it's
well,
L.
I tell you what, let's just open up J, K, and L, okay? And that's, K is receive, update, and take appropriate action on proposed well number 3 on Country Lane. And then, L is receive updates and take appropriate action regarding installation of generators for City of Hayes and Elliott Ranch well sites. But back to the pump station and, you know, there is a list of things to be done. And has that been addressed or been updated? That was a list that Zach was working on.
That's correct.
What do they call that?
Wish list.
Punch list.
Punch list, thank you, punch list. And, so is there any, do you know of the status of the punch list?
My understanding from the PGMS representatives that it's been completed. But I don't know all the details, okay? I'll
Okay.
find out the details and send you an email on that.
Let me ask Dee Wright, who's on this, if she has any questions. Dee, do you have, are you there? Dee? If she's.
There I am, sorry.
Oh.
I couldn't get my phone to work.
Yeah. Do you have any questions about the pump station punch list?
Don, to my knowledge, it's not complete.
Okay,
I mean, I can send you the list and I sent it out in an email back in June. And there was probably about 10 items still outstanding on that. And Zach gave me a general statement. He didn't go through the list.
Why don't, Don, why don't you send an email to Zach and maybe Patrick, copy myself and Lydia, and ask for an update on the punch list?
I will do that.
Okay, thank
Get
you.
back to the office and
Is that okay, Dee?
Yes, it is. Can I ask, I couldn't quite hear about the auto dialer. Don, could you clarify that a little bit for me?
sure, more than happy to. I visited with Zach King today about the auto dollar at the Elliott Ranch pump station. And Zach said he's been visiting with Keith Siebert, who's an electrician that's in a separate company, but does all the pump stations for PGMS. And I've known Keith for a long time. He does really good work. Keith was unfamiliar, said he was kind of unfamiliar with the auto dollar issue at Elliott Ranch, but he would put his eyes on it right away and get back with it.
Okay, thank you, Don. I think
Thank
that
you.
I think that auto dialer out there has not worked for years. Is that right, Dee? So,
Yes, sir.
yes, okay.
I will note that. So, kind of related to these projects, I've updated the three main projects, the two, that can't start. For the, two generator projects, Tanglewood and Elliott Ranch, and for the well project, it's Country Lane Well number 3. The budgets seem to be holding good. They're extending out, but as far as the start work on it, but the finish dates are the same. I think we can meet that. I will, on the Country Lane Well number 3, we received, we did request a proposal from companies. We received one. I sent them to a number of companies, only had one response. It's DK Drilling. It's a estimate number 11428. And providing copies of that along with just the well specifications that required by TCEQ, where TCEQ has approved the construction of that well. It's a public water supply well. And the DK's proposals for amount of $113,134.26 on that project. Now there's a couple of things that are missing off the proposal, and that's a tie-in supply line from the new wellhead over to the 4-inch water line that comes into the Tanglewood pump station from the Country Lane well site, the old pump site, the well site, and also the plugging of the well is not on this proposal. So I can still, I know that I've talked to a lot of drillers in the last few months, and they're all very, very busy. But I'm happy to try to get more proposals if the council wish, or we can move forward and try to negotiate a full proposal with BK.
Yes.
Thank you.
Don, I have a question. Our Country Well Lane number 3 was on target to be completed September 2024. As my understanding, the council gave a buffer for contingencies or what have you to be fully operational by November 2024. I see here that there's now it runs into December, January, February. Is this correct? Our project is delayed again?
Correct. I extended a little bit, yes.
It's what?
Yes, I've extended the time frame forward a little bit.
We were not aware of the extension of the time frame.
Okay, well,
Because this says, I believe we've been without a well for 3 years or more. I think since I started serving on council, that was one of my highest priorities, is to bring that well, make it fully operational, bring it online. We had an incident a few months ago where our water source our well was down. All of our residents were, of course, very concerned. It took us a day or so to get it back up and running, and then the boil water notice and what have you, we stockpiled water for our residents who were not able to go out and get water. What can we do at this point? We're already August. It was supposed to be ready in September. And I know I've been emailing pretty much consistently asking for an update. I know that life happens and we can get behind, but we were not aware that our project will not be extended until February of next year. And is this realistic that it would happen? And what are the consequences for it not being operational in November as we planned, or now in February if it happens again?
if the extension time happens again.
Right. We agreed that it would be ready in September. We agreed to that. Council discussed it. We said no later than November. We allowed a 60-day grace period. It's now going to be pushed back to another winter into February. December to February are the coldest months of the year. Is the crew going to be working in the midst of winter to bring that well online? Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Or will they actually do the work? Are they going to do the work? Are we going to get it done next time, no later than February?
Council,
September to February, that's a long time for an extension.
okay, all I can say, I'll work as quick as we can to get it done, and there are other vendors that are involved in the project. So, we'll try to get it done as soon as possible.
May I interrupt a moment? There's a truck out there with some people or something. I don't know what that's
Did anyone
about.
order anything for delivery? Did you order anything to be delivered?
For Amazon, but it's tomorrow.
They're here. I believe that's a rental truck.
Yes. It's okay.
Or do you want to lock the door, just keep the door locked?
Oh.
Just keep the door locked. It's an Amazon delivery. Pardon me,
Oh, they were bringing something.
it's an Amazon delivery, yeah.
Oh, it's for those.
So just leave it at the door for the each things that we ordered.
You can come to the front door.
Supposed to be
naturally.
That's okay, he'll just leave it.
Okay.
Pardon.
Yeah,
Sir, what else can
Sorry.
we do, Mayor Harvey, what else can we do about this
Oh,
to be assured that we're going to finish? What other options do we have?
well, to select a vendor to get started on the well as soon as possible.
Yes, and I take full responsibility for the delays and it's been really, really busy.
Did you have a
I
question?
just was gonna ask, there will be a contract, right, between some type of business agreement
Oh,
with,
There's a couple issues with the contractor.
No,
Let her finish.
Yes.
well, just between the drillers and the city, so I would guess that be able to give us a date.
And you, there will be a contract. with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There are a couple of issues with this estimate for the driller. There are a couple of items that you're missing, they're tasks that need to be included. How they're gonna be resolved? The supply line and plugging the line.
Just want to add that to the contract. Add that to the-
When they submitted when you submitted the bid, or the proposal to the vendor, was those items in there?
Yes, is my discussion with them. Yes.
Yes, so that's an oversight on their part.
It may be, I just don't know.
Or I imagine that. Not in, if they have the package and it's not listed, did you omit it and this amount of money of 113,000, it's already included those items. I just double checked that.
It's probably gonna be another $20,000.
Yes.
how much do we allocate for this? Is this amount within the umbrella that we proposed to spend?
I've been working on 191,000.
And if we add on, go ahead.
In the proposed budget, it's $204,099. So that is a pretty precise figure that I assume we got from our city engineer.
So if it's the 113 plus 20, we'd be at 133, but we allocated 250 for an umbrella,
204
204. So we're below budget so far.
so far.
This is not a lump sum contract.
Not drilling contract, it's about foot on most items on it. This is an estimate. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a 400-foot well, and but it's drilling very similar to one. The existing country lane well.
Okay.
So
Okay,
I don't see it going any deeper than that.
so Don, the decision you're asking the council to make is, does the council want to say, yes, we'll want to proceed with this bid? Or no, we want to wait and try to get some more? Is that correct?
That is correct, but if you want to. I'm looking for specific direction, if you want to negotiate a contract with BK Drilling, they're the ones that it's proposed. Happy to get that done. Meet with BK Drilling and get a formal contract for the council to consider.
And what is your opinion of the quality of work that BK does?
BK's is a good driller, a real good drilling company. We've had them before on the Elliott Ranch rehab jobs. Been familiar, they built, on my other projects, 2 wells. Off of Fitzhugh Road on my spot. They did a good job. I thought they were a little expensive, but there was a lot of compliance associated.
And in your professional opinion, is this a fair bid?
Yes.
So I would suggest if we do need to get the well done ASAP, as we all been having conniption fits about it for years. And so my personal opinion, of course, I can't make a motion, but my personal opinion is that we should negotiate a contract with these people.
I'd like to file a motion. I
Go ahead.
do have a question for Joshua.
Mhm.
Joshua, on the estimate, we submit a bid, correct? We posted a bid request. We have a sole source response. Through errors and omissions, we now have a $20,000 add-on. If we agree as a council to hire BK Drilling, will you review the contract for us and put a hard deadline
I'll
to it?
I can turn around as soon as I receive it. So whenever we get a contract from BK Drilling, I'll review it as quickly as I can.
That being so, I'd like to file a motion that we contract with BK Drilling, allow Mr. Don to begin that process. The current bid is for $113,000 because of errors and omissions. They now may have another $20,000 expense to add to it. And that they begin the contracting process so that Mr. Katz can oversee that.
Yes.
I second her motion.
Thank you. Anybody from the council have any other thing to say? Then we'll take the vote, all in favor. And that's unanimous. Thank you. So, generators. Our second favorite subject.
There's a handout gave it up tonight. Mr. Davis now, how was it, 3 weeks ago? So, visited with, 2 different suppliers based on the reviews that we had for the council. And, for I guess 60 kilowatt generator at the Elliott Ranch pump station and 50 kilowatt generator at the Englewood pump station. You'll see the proposal on the far right hand. On the right hand of each of the cup, they were Colorado standby generator, electric generators to direct and all power electric, and also supplier. All the proposals were pretty similar. The low competitor bid was, the low bid was with all electric power, $44,196, and that was for the generator and a transfer switch in each of the pump stations.
And as I recall, we contacted each of these people, talked to their sales rep. And these are the correct figures that were given to us. And I think you said you were going to have somebody else look at the specs on these to
Yes.
make sure that these specs were gonna be correct to install these generators. Was that done?
That was done. I contacted Mr. Park Micah, who did the original, survey of each of the pump stations, electrician. And, he agreed with all of it. But it was his design that was lost.
And in your professional opinion, you think we should select All Power? And as I recall, you really haven't done any business with them. They're of a nationwide company up in the Midwest someplace. All these were out-of-state companies.
Right. I would look for direction council so that to negotiate a contract with one of the bidders, whether it's Colorado standby, electric generator, direct. All power electric is the low bidder, the high bidder was Colorado standby.
But we don't have, you don't have any knowledge, personal knowledge of doing business with any of the 3 companies.
That is correct.
Right.
That's correct.
But they've all been around a while. And really, they're just kind of sales. I mean, they're not manufacturers. Right,
No, they're distributors.
distributors, so. So my opinion, we should select a little bit.
I mean, this is the distributors for the material?
Generator with bell and the switch here that goes, the transfer switch that comes.
And that's,
Transfer from the generator to the main power on the building.
and that's the installation?
No, it's the equipment.
The material?
Yes,
Okay.
are you finished?
I would say that for the installation, there's gonna be another company gonna provide it.
Yes, they're have another vendor to install.
Okay,
There is a time period. You know, these come. Gail, go ahead. You
I wanted to
Floor.
ask, this question, do you have, an opinion of these three?
Not specifically, I can't recommend one company.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we can get a lot of information just from the phone calls we've had. Okay, and, of the nature of the business, this, you know, the breadth of the business, you will overall. I think they're all three qualified suppliers. They all include there's no trade charge. It's just that base bid is a little different for each of the generators. And they're about within $2,000. It'd be a standard 5-year warranty that's provided by Kohler and by Cummins.
For all three of these.
And it's a factory warranty, so you know, it has some appreciation over time.
Do you have a recommendation?
I would recommend the low bidder. I would recommend the council approve this from up a contract with All Power Electric. If the mayor and I can't be satisfied with that particular bidder, we could go to the council.
You had a question? You had the floor.
Thank you, sir. For All Power Electric, Don, just to make sure I have a good understanding of this. The Colorado standby generator versus the All Power Electric generator, they're both Cummins Power RS-50s. There's the Colorado says it's natural gas and propane liquid cool generator. Is the all power is the name, but not the fact that it's an all power. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's company name.
So does it have the same, I guess, inner workings of the generator? It's just a generator. This one has a complete description, the other does not. The specs. So this one says Cummins Power Generation Quiet Connect Series, natural gas, propane, liquid cooled generator. Do they all have that?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. It's just a technical question.
I just didn't copy it.
Thank you so much. I just want to make sure that we're getting apples to apples and not apples to oranges.
Correct.
Any other questions from the council? And again, my suggestion is All Power Electric.
I'd like to file a motion,
Please do.
if I may. I'd like to file a motion for Don's recommendation, Mayor Harvey's recommendation, that we pursue the low bid purchase of a generator, the All Power Electric, for a total of $44,196.
I'll second this motion.
Thank you, Dr. Harkins.
All in favor? Thank you. I think everybody's in favor. Is that it, Don, for
So there's a
you?
couple of other comments. So next to last comment is I put a little site plan. And I went out, looked at each of the inspection site and came up with the same thing. The two big items. So Curtis, Tony, and if you mind taking a look at it. It's on the same line as we've discussed.
So the pictures are of City of Hayes and Elliott Ranch.
right.
Yes.
Okay. Dee, would you like us to forward you this information?
Yes, that would be terrific. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get it to, I'll forward it to you.
Great.
'Cause I've already saved it on. Share drive that I love so much. Go ahead.
So in closing, I want to want to account for me that I have 3 projects with the city, so I'm a generator, just 1, 2, 3 is the well. And we'll have those completed as soon as possible, but I'm looking at retirement. And, so I don't have an exact retirement day, also got 3 months. And that could go, it could be completed on the,
So the MUD is scheduled to go to hearing in October. The TLAP, we don't have hearing
it'll
date
have
yet.
to go probably in the next year.
Yeah, it will be.
So, want to kind of give the council a heads up. Love Hayes, it's been great. But I need to, I'm 76 and you can think of that. Seriously.
We love you, by the way.
Well, thank you. It's, last year has been very challenging. This personally, yeah, this is last. But anyway, take actual management wigs, and I'll tell you how much I.
Do you have a timeline for your retirement, sir?
I'm looking at after the first of the year, but here's what I'm trying to do. Is retire from the plans and specs, parent, AutoCAD, plan specs, engineering reports. Still be available for consulting. That was the deal I made with my wife. So, I think things like, the elapse and things like that.
Yeah, totally.
As far as our water expert, when you do retire, would you recommend someone to us? No one can ever fill your shoes, that's for sure, Don.
Because if you need a municipal engineer that's kind of broad, right? In nature, and I would recommend that the council advertise for engineering proposals. And with a scope of work or with a description of what you're looking for, but you go everything from streets to drainage to water. You don't really get in wastewater, but all on site system. Then we have, of course, I think hearings and like TLAPs are very specialties, that don't necessarily have to be described. But you'll need a good, someone that has time and probably a lot younger than me to keep up.
Okay,
All right,
okay.
Don, thank you very much.
Take immediate action.
So I guess we will go.
I think we should give him some applause usually for speaking up like that.
It's not going yet. It's gonna.
Maybe we'll have it going away party.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate you
Thank you,
very
John.
much.
Oh, we locked the door, I'm sorry.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
5A, I'm sorry.
He's locked in, he can't retire now.
That's right.
Item 5A is take action on whether to opt in to execute an interlocal agreement with TML Risk Pool to participate in the newly created cyber fund. TML Risk Pool is our insurance company, and they've been our insurance company forever. They'd be the only insurance company we've ever had. So they insure everything. And as you know, cyber theft and issues are a big deal. Enjoying my 3-month stay at Ascension Hospital, they got hacked
Yeah.
and they had to do everything by hand, and it was poor people, those poor nurses. So they have created a separate cyber fund and that this insurance used to be like a minor amount, $25 or something like that. But now it's up to $500. And we met with, being Gail and Lydia and myself, and Cynthia, I think, met with the insurance agent, Chase, yeah, and who's been there forever. And fortunately, and so we discussed.
Christine met with us.
Oh,
Christine.
Christine, sorry, I left you out. And so he told us about the cyber fund, and this is, that kind of separated it from the regular insurance. And so you have to execute an agreement and get into the cyber fund. And it's about $500.
Like a month or a year?
Admit I have the full. The cost of so that's a big increase. And I'm thinking, we're not on the internet that much. We have QuickBooks, but we have QuickBooks online. Did we really need to spend that much? And Lydia had a different opinion of it. And which kind of made a lot of sense. So that's the decision, is whether we want to opt in and pay a little bit more on that. And you have the floor. Wait a minute, Tony has the floor.
I just know, is it $500 a month or a year?
A year.
A year.
Year. You have the floor now.
Josh, may we ask for your recommendation?
Sure, I've reviewed this for another city. They asked me the same question and I recommended that they opt into the risk pool because costs to a city, even this size, are going to be significant if there's a cyber attack. It could be your accounts that get frozen, it could be, your website, but mostly the accounts are the worried about.
Thank you, sir.
And the accounts that we have, you mean your bank account?
Yeah, your funds.
We have in Broadway Bank, $170-something thousand. That would be the most vulnerable.
Mhm.
Hex Pool, which has, 1,600,000-700,000. I feel it's pretty safe. I mean, it's hard for me to get to, they're always changing.
The other question is the water utility system. So some hackers have been
yeah.
able to attack infrastructure such as water utilities.
Yeah.
Well, I just would, I was gonna say, I imagine the banks already have their own cyber protection.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean,
I would think.
maybe we would need, somewhat more, but yeah, the water system, I can really see that would be a dangerous thing.
Yeah. So, what is your, could you tell them why you think we should opt in?
If we needed to ask, my place of employment was hacked years ago. It was hacked. We were without, much like the hospital when you were in care. We could not use our computers. And this is state government. We could not use our computers for weeks. We all went to paper and pen. All of our files are e-files. We had to wait for the feds to come in and do the work all behind the scenes. You never saw them. But we were offline and the cost was astronomical.
Right.
And that's a state government with 12,000 employees and all the resources in Texas. We're a small community. I know $500 sounds like a lot of money, but the amount of money we spend for Perry just for a phone call or two adds up pretty quickly. And that's what I would recommend. We pay $500. It's an insurance.
Yeah.
It's insurance.
And I agree.
Thank you.
You changed my mind. So with that, if somebody wants to make a motion,
I'd like to file a motion that we opt in to
I
execute.
second the motion.
Thank you. We opt in to execute an interlocal agreement with TML Risk Pool to participate in the newly created cyber fund.
all in favor? Thank you. And that's unanimous. Item B is consider and take appropriate action on whether to renew auto liability insurance. We don't have any liability, we don't have any cars, but employees do use their cars, make bank deposits, and I believe that insurance was how much more?
$500-ish also,
$500.
but it's for
So-
council members as well.
Yeah, so it's on any city business. There are a big party in Buda that might need it there.
And it's a secondary policy, correct, Josh?
I believe in addition.
A
to
primary-
Sure.
Takes it first, that's a secondary umbrella coverage.
So The Texas Tort Claims Act limits cities' liability generally. So it provides immunity for a lot of different types of causes of action. However, one exception from that immunity that cities enjoy is for personal injury involving motor vehicles. So traditionally, this will happen where big cities have, garbage trucks, police cruisers, city transportation department vehicles. If a person is acting, and if an employee of a city is acting within the scope of their job responsibilities at the time they have an accident, plaintiff lawyers are, the light bulb goes off and they say, aha, I can sue the city as well as the individual because they're acting in a professional capacity, and the Texas Tort Claims Act provides a waiver of immunity for personal injury involving motor vehicle. So that's why cities often have insurance on vehicles. If you owned a vehicle, you'd want this insurance for sure. But in this instance, we talked about this briefly by email, but if you have employees who are acting within the scope of their job duties, leaving City Hall to go to a bank, leaving City Hall to go to a meeting, and they were to have an accident, the city would possibly have liability for personal injury or property damage in that accident. That's what this insurance is meant to cover. Yes.
So it's just a blanket coverage then for everybody that is part of the city with their vehicles. Like we wouldn't have to separately insure everybody's car.
Well, it would be for folks that are performing
Like
city
jobs,
functions. I
right,
believe.
but like going to the bank or.
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
Okay, so
Like,
what about
yeah.
attending like some kind of a conference or anything like that?
If it's on behalf of the city and it's work for the city, I believe so.
Christine,
I believe Chase, the TML agent. He did make a distinction that it wouldn't cover our own personal property.
And it would,
It's a secondary, so it would just be.
Whomever that person strikes, or whatever damage
it
whatever
protects the
property they
city.
damage,
Yeah.
to protect the city.
Mhm.
Not this.
Not individual property,
Right.
not your personal vehicle.
Not your car, or maybe that's what your policy's for.
That's right.
any other questions? And think, go ahead.
Ready to file a motion if we don't have any other questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Regarding considering take action on whether to renew auto liability insurance, I'd like to file a motion that we do renew the auto liability insurance for the city of Hayes.
I second the motion.
Getting old. All in favor?
That makes sense.
Thank you, that's unanimous. Item 4C, consider and take appropriate action on requests to seek bids for improvements on Live Oak Street, and I think this is a result of a survey that Tony and Lydia did on Live Oak
Candace.
Street. Oh, Candace.
We'll call them.
Oh, you're
Well,
a resident.
She, as a resident, walks the block and reported that there's a lot of, we were not aware until she
Trees
reported it.
growing through the asphalt.
There's a tree growing through the street.
Okay. I
That's pretty
agree
sad.
that, I agree that Live Oak is probably the worst street of all of our bad streets. And so I think you have a plan. So you may tell the council what your plan is.
My plan,
Yes.
I would like for us to fix Live Oak Street. We did speak recently to Margaret with GrantWorks, who were hoping to have to be able to apply for infrastructure funds, federal infrastructure funds. Our meeting went well on the surface, but as far as us being able to seek federal funds and apply for any type of funds, our income on Live Oak, cumulative collectively of all the residents on Live Oak, is about 11%, where we need to be at 51%, almost in a deficiency. It appears that the folks here in our city are doing well. We'll put it that way. They're doing well enough that we do not qualify for that type of fund.
Aw.
And nor are we able to apply for the larger grants because they start at $25 million. And the residents, I believe, are 50,000 residents minimum. And so I had requested from our treasurer at the time, if we could have some funds so that we could post and begin. Tony is a civil engineer, said that we could do a certain type of repair and not do the entire resurfacing of the road as we have over here that was very costly. And because we have major projects and our treasurer is very good at managing our money, and we're using a lot of money for the 3 projects Dawn just identified. So we recommend that we do a repair and not an entire resurfacing. It appears to be a Band-Aid effect, but at the very least, we would have removed the tree from the center of the road and perhaps patch the most deficient areas.
That is just too funny.
So, please, what you're proposing, and you're maybe gonna make a motion, is that the city spend up to $20,000 to make repairs on potholes and other items on Live Oak Street, to make it a little bit better than what it is, because as we all know, 20,000 is not a lot. for
I do have a
street.
question for Mr. Katz. Mr. Katz, because we only have $20,000 and we are not, with a not to exceed from our treasurer, the $20,000 before I file a motion, are we able to do a bid process without posting a bid? Can we call vendors and ask if they would like to provide a bid, or must we post it in?
So usually there's a like different cooperatives, like the buy board, or sometimes it's called bid board. And as long as it doesn't involve like engineering and professional services, you can use options like that without doing posting for bids and RFP type of.
Is it allowed at that level of funding?
I believe so.
Can't we do that as the city of Hayes?
I think so. As long as you don't have a procurement policy as a city that, you know, requires a vote on a certain amount or something like that.
We would have to check what's the limit on our procurement policy for us to expend funds without. going
Yeah,
through
I
the
mean,
formal request for bids process.
I think, you know, you can go through, I don't think you can contact any vendor directly. But if they're a participant in like the bid board, I think you can ask, you know, people that are in those cooperative programs to bid on a project, and they'll probably come back and say, well, tell me what you want to do. You know, tell them, give me, you know, pictures, what kind of surfacing do you want, et cetera. But you can, yeah, I think you can go from there, and you can, as a council, put a cap on the amount of money you have to spend.
Of course.
And of course, you know, then the contractor will say, well, for that amount, I can do A and B, but not C, or, you know.
So in order to file a motion. Before I do, would it be, I'd like to file a motion. To begin the process of seeking bids using the bid board
Yeah, I think something like that.
and value not to exceed $20,000.
That would probably be the appropriate motion.
Thank you, sir.
Your motion,
Yes.
do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, Roxanne.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Any more questions, comments, all in favor? And are you in favor, Roxanne?
Oh, yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question, I'll say a question.
Oh, wait a minute. On this item,
Oh, no, we can't say that anymore. Okay.
I mean, we haven't moved on to the next item yet. If, I think if you want to allow
Yeah,
a question.
go ahead.
If you, like. Person is gonna, to put in order to bid board, you're gonna have to have a diagram or a plan and say, we got so many linear feet of repairs to do. There's gonna be so much wide and potholes, and, you know, I would volunteer my time and everything and do a drawing and say, this is for the bid board, this is the percentage. So they can have something to look at and bid on.
I think you can. They will probably want to do their own work to confirm what you're telling them.
Right, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
So just start off with, have an idea of the linear feet of the road. Goodbye.
I think so. I mean,
Go from there.
a lot of cities would have you know, engineering staff to do that,
Right.
but we're smaller, so we don't have that.
I only have one, okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you. Item number D is receive and take appropriate action to approve July 2024 financial report. And the main thing I wanted to point out is, we're inching towards $2 million, but we're not gonna make it. In Broadway Bank and Technical, $1.9 million. But we spent almost 47,000 and we only took in $31,400, so we really spent a lot more than we took in. The main reason was because we paid 3 months on PGMS. You know, it should be just 1 month, but because of my little illness, PGMS didn't get paid for 2 months. And we also had a $5,000 bill on the Elliott Ranch project. We did collect, actually, water receipts were pretty high. We collected the most water receipts from Elliott Ranch. And that was partly due to one customer using 300 and some odd thousand gallons of water. So hopefully he paid his bill. Actually, I need to call PGMS and see how he reacted to the bill, if anything. So that's my report. And you know, you can prove it or not, it doesn't really matter. But if not, then we can just move on.
I'd like to file a motion to approve the July 2024 financial report.
Second,
I second.
Roxanne, all in favor? And that's unanimous, okay. 5E is take action to approve minutes of July 8th, regular city council meeting. And assume everyone's read that. Was that sent out to everybody? Cynthia?
I didn't make copies for everybody on that. But it's on the chair form.
We need to send it out ahead of time, so let's just, I don't think anybody's had a chance to read the minutes. So let's just hold that over to next month. Okay, and that way we'll send out the minutes for this meeting and July 8th.
So before a meeting, I'm gonna send them the minutes.
Yeah, and that
To
way
everybody.
everybody can read it ahead of time. If there's problems, they can contact you. And then when meeting time is, it just perform. Okay,
Okay. So what are we gonna do on this one? Just,
we're just gonna table it.
Till September.
Okay.
okay.
Okay, F is F and G and H are all related to budget and tax rate. And F is receive update regarding the F25 budget and tax rate. The proposed budget was filed with the city secretary last week, was left on her office table. Because the budget, we're recommending, this is the budget committee, and it's the mayor's responsibility to file the proposed budget with the city secretary. And we've done that, and now we're giving the city, and it's been put on the website. And now we're having the opportunity for the whole council to have a discussion on the budget and to look at it, consider it, and And with the idea that the budget would be, and the tax rate would be adopted at our September meeting. And at that same meeting, we hold 2 public hearings on that. Is that okay?
You're holding 2 public meetings, it's like, according to your agenda, you're proposing a September 11th. Oh, yeah, first on the proposed budget, and then the
And then-
proposed tax rate. Yeah, I believe you can do those at the same meeting, yes.
And this is exactly how we did it last year.
Yeah, no, I'm almost certain that
Following
that's
that.
correct, yes.
So on the tax rate, which, you know, the property taxes are minor part of our income, but it's still important. It's an important part because we have the 2 functions. We have a water business and the city. And the city doesn't get any, well, we do get sales tax. In fact, sales tax is kind of an important part. And it's I think in the budget, it's we budget more on the sales tax income, 32,000. And then on property taxes. So so the sales tax is important. Property taxes. Our tax rate is what we're recommending is the voter approved tax rate, which is 0.0894. Voter approved tax rate is the tax rate you can adopt without having to go through a whole bunch more hoops to adopt a higher tax rate. And potentially a
Potentially, if some, you know,
if the citizens get real mad. And then they have the no new revenue tax rate, which means you collect essentially what you did the prior year. The last year's tax rate was 0.0896. It goes down to 0.0894, and that's because the values have gone up and we actually collect more money. And that's $743 for a big deal. 3.3% increase from last year's budget. And that's maybe close to keeping up with inflation, but not quite. And we also would have $281 from new properties.
So what is that?
the-
What did
I'm
you do,
sorry.
Ralph?
Could you just raise your hand?
What did we answer F?
Let's work that right now.
Yeah, we're on.
Oh, okay,
Okay. I'm going over the budget.
okay.
The budget, both the budget that we prepared, the proposed budget, shows that the expenses in excess of revenue for the city function of 24,375, and for the water business, 5,459. That is that's, we hope, well, that's pretty tight, I'll say, because we have interest income, which has become, you know, very important now to the cities. All this money, this money in tax pool is earned, but rates are going to go down. You know, we had a big stock market correction, and everyone says it's going to go down a half a percent. So we last budget, or the budget year that we're on, the interest income we estimate is 84,000, and in this budget it's 70,000, and I'm not sure that we will enough. You know, we don't, you know, they obviously, if we have another financial crisis, it's go down to zero and you get a couple $100 a month. This is what we did before, and we would have to do a lot of cost cutting. So, the budget has capital expenditures. $373,000. So this is well number 3 in the water generator projects. So. The net effect is that the money we would have, our little nest egg of $1.9 million would go down to $1.426,000.
Wow.
So that's. But, you know, these capital expenditures have to be made. And it tells us that our water rates are too low. Probably our tax rates are too low. And that we might need next year to risk of going above the voter approved tax rate. And if we do, we'd want to go fairly up there. I mean, right now, we pay a couple $100 each household on your city taxes, so
A year.
a year. So, and when I was the mayor, seems like the tax rate was like 0.11. So the tax rates have gone down because the valuations have gone up so much. So anyways, this is the proposed budget. Any questions or observations? This is not an item. It's just an update item. Oh, F. Okay, on G, then is consider and take appropriate action to set proposed tax rate of 0.0894, which is the voter approved tax rate, and to ratify the proposed budget. So, yes,
Does this require us to vote?
yes,
Okay,
that's what we're asking.
that's what I thought.
That the appropriate thing to do, yes. Okay,
I propose that, well, let's see, how do I give it?
so I make a motion.
I make a motion that, we, consider and take appropriate action to set the proposed tax rate of 0.0894 per $100 and to ratify the proposed budget.
And I will say that when we ratify, that doesn't mean it can't be changed. It can be changed. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Do we have any more comments? And this proposed tax rate, it actually has already been given to the Hayes County Tax Office because they want it ASAP. All in favor? Thank you. And did you vote in favor, Candy?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
So H is take appropriate action on requests to have 2 public hearings on not on September 11th, but on September 9th. That's when our meeting is.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
September 9th. The first. That clerical error is okay.
That's fine. I mean, the notice in the agenda gives the public notice.
I thought we had
what we're trying to
changed
talk
that.
about.
We changed that. The first on FY25 proposed budget and the second on the FY25 proposed tax rate of 0.0894 valuation. And so I entertain a motion to set these public hearings, and this so that we will put in a newspaper ad about it too.
So I move that we schedule 2 public hearings on September 9th on the proposed budget and the proposed tax rate.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor? Thank you. Everybody voted for it.
Everybody for it.
6I, receive and take appropriate action regarding Hayes Commons development application to Texas Committee on Environmental Quality to create a municipal utility district within the city of Hayes, former ETJ. I want to state my position. Think the city should not be wasting time on the mud, not in favor of it. It's, we exceeding the budget, we can't spend a whole bunch of money fighting for mud, and I don't know what our objective would be. The TLAP is a whole nother thing, but the mud is not a favorite subject of mine. So you have the floor with that,
Thank you, Mayor.
right?
Well, Mr. Roushey kind of stole my thunder on the update, but he's not here, so I can't give him any trouble about it. This agenda item is about the mud. In order to get a mud created, the developer needs TCQ's approval. And in order to get that approval, if anybody's protested the mud application, then there's what's called a contested case hearing, which is kind of like a trial on whether or not the developer has met all the requirements they have to meet under the Texas Water Code to establish a municipal utility district. The city is a party, as is the Save Our Springs Alliance. Our deadline, as protestants of the mud, our deadline is August 30th, which is towards the end of this month. And as Mr. Rauschuber mentioned, I'm assisting him with developing his expert testimony. So the way administrative cases work for TCQ, such as this one, your party, which is the city of Hayes, gets to have an expert, and you pre-file written testimony in the case. So it will be the expert's testimony as to whether or not the mud the developer has met all of the requirements that they have to meet for TCQ to authorize creation of the mud. So August 30th is our next date. The hearing on the merits is scheduled for October 15th. I think it's scheduled for more than one day, but these usually do end up taking one day, maybe 1.5. There will be briefing after the hearing, and then the administrative law judges issue their recommendation. It's called a proposal for decision, but it's a recommendation. I think I wrote down February 11th. Is the date that's the last date that the administrative law judges can issue the proposal for decision. After that, it goes to the TCQ commissioners. So there are 3 commissioners that are appointed by the governor, and they will receive the judge's recommendation on what to do. And the commissioners can take the judge's recommendation and say, yes, we're issuing an order along the lines of what the judge has recommended. Or they can change that judge's order, or they can throw it out the window altogether and replace it with their own findings and conclusions. So that's the big picture of where we are. So we're right still at the beginning of the process on the mud.
So,
Yes, sir.
so I did be devil's advocate here. If the mud happens and the mud gets approved, how does it affect the city of Hayes?
Well, so that's a good question. So there's a separate proceeding for the TLAP. So they're parallel, they're completely separate, but they can be going on at the same time. So if the mud is created, what that means is that it's a governmental entity, essentially, and a mud has various powers to do certain things, right? Like, so the mud is going to be the entity that builds the infrastructure for this development. A mud can tax, a mud can issue bonds. And so the mud will be the entity that does those two things and hires, engineering firms to build the TLAP if they get their approval from TCQ, and build the sewer plant, to build the roads, build sidewalks, build water lines, build water wells, if that's what they decide they're doing. The mud is basically the entity that's going to build this infrastructure.
Yeah, but that's outside the full jurisdiction of the city of Hayes.
Completely outside. They're no longer in the ETJ of the city of Hayes.
So they cannot come into the city of Hayes? with the facilities.
No, they cannot. MUDs do have condemnation authority, but I believe it's limited within their territory. So the territory of the MUD is not within the city limits of Hayes. It would have been within the ETJ of Hayes, but they used the new state law to petition to remove the property.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything else?
I have a question. So do you think that the TCEQ is more likely to approve a TLAP if there's a MUD in place?
It's
Or is it just?
It's kind of irrelevant. It's not even a factor. They can grant either one independently of the other or deny either one independently of the other. So if the MUD is created, I don't think it makes it more or less likely that the TLAP is approved. I think it's very likely that both get approved. Because I've fought this fight, and the commissioners of the TCQ are very pro development.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's your recommendation, Mr. Katz, regarding the MUD. It is my belief not that the MUD is the funding mechanism. The MUD has the powers of eminent domain, that facilitating or not fighting the MUD, not opposing the MUD would perhaps make the TLAP greater success for them. And that's why I wanted to delay it, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I know it comes at a price, and treasurer and our mayor has recommended against continuing to fight the MUD, but I believe they go hand in hand, and
So
not opposing would allow them to go forward.
I understand where your question is my recommendation. As of now, acting at the direction of the city council, I filed a hearing request on the MUD. And we were granted standing and granted party status as a party on the MUD. If this council wanted to change course and direct me to file a petition to withdraw as a party from the case, we could do that. We're not set up on this agenda item to take that action, but at your next meeting or a special meeting, if the council wish to do that, if you put an agenda item saying, discuss, consider withdrawing from the MUD proceeding, then you could direct me to do so. By participating in the MUD proceeding, as Ms. Owens asked, even if we defeated the MUD, they could still possibly get their TLAP, get that application granted. I don't think getting one changes whether or not they will or won't get the other. But it does, we're not contesting it just because we want to delay their project. That's not the goal. So the goal of the city is to defeat the MUD.
Of course.
But it does have the effect of extending out the timeline for that project. They have to go, if nobody protested either the MUD or the TLAP, it'd be done lickety split. There would be no contested case hearing. There would be no pre-filed testimony. They would simply get their draft permit for the TLAP issued instantly, and the MUD would be created almost as a matter of course. So by being at the table and protesting the MUD, yes, it does delay the timeline of the project, and it allows parties, in this case it's us and SOS, to raise potential issues in the MUD.
I've always believed that silence is acceptance. If we're silent, then go forward with it.
Alright.
The next meeting is on the 30th. We would not have time to go and do anything differently for now.
We have a meeting on August 30th?
Did you say the Silver Springs next?
Oh, sorry, it's not a meeting, it's the deadline that all the protesting parties have to file their pre-filed expert testimony.
And as of now, are we doing that?
Yes,
Are we-
I'm working with Mr. Rauschenberg for him to develop it with my direction. Yes.
Let me ask you a question first and then you'll have. Why is SOS opposing it? What is it? What's in it for them?
I don't know if I can answer that question. I mean, I'm familiar with SOS generally from my. SOS generally, it's fair to say, is skeptical about suburban and residential development in areas of the city of Austin that it perceives to be environmentally sensitive. So I think SOS,
Which
to play,
this fits
to play not devil's advocate, because I'm not saying the devils, but if they were sitting at this table, I think they would tell you that this is an environmentally sensitive area. There's aquifer recharge features in this area. They're very concerned about multiple aspects of this project and its effects on groundwater quality, its effect on Barton Springs, because there is hydrogeological connectivity between this segment of the Barton Springs Edwards Aquifer and Barton Springs. So.
And wouldn't the city of Austin have as much interest in fighting a mud as we would? And why do they ever fight muds?
I don't represent the city of Austin, so I don't know for certain.
Hey, fine. Is there some? Well, I've asked this question before, and I think the question being, can we spend public funds fighting a mud that's not in our ETJ? It's just in the county.
You can.
And you said, yes, you can, because it affects the quality of life of your citizens, which would be the same for the city of Austin. And their city limits doesn't go out for this development, but just their ETJ.
ETJ does come to the, I can't speak for city of Austin, obviously, I mean, a big entity, different political opinions there. They did not ask to be a party on the mud. I know this isn't on our agenda, so I don't want to say too much, but the city of Austin did submit comments in opposition to the TLAP.
Yeah, they sure did. And City of Buda.
City of Buda did, the
People.
Groundwater Conservation District.
Okay, Tony, you have the.
I mean, as far as I understood, we're supposed to be working with SOS, like only the TLAP.
We are both protesting the mud, and SOS, I believe, also filed comments in opposition to the TLAP.
Okay.
So, you know, the TCEQ has not responded to the comments on the TLAP yet. The way they'll work is they'll respond to the comments on the TLAP. And then they will refer there'll be a request for hearing, which we've already submitted a request for hearing on the TLAP.
Okay.
And again, I'm sorry, we're off the agenda, so I can't say too much. But yes, SOS will probably be opposing, if I had to guess, both. Yes.
I believe that's as private residents that are affected by status is under the umbrella of SOS.
Okay.
That's what he's asking.
Oh, yeah.
Would you, Josh, perhaps if there's a different political climate come November, how would that affect all of this?
Sorry, can you, I don't understand the question.
If we have a different president, a different
Oh,
leader, how would that affect all of this? Right now, we're very pro business, pro this, pro that.
I don't think a different president would affect things because this is state law and it's even if we had a different governor, that would change things some. The commissioners of the TCQ are appointed by the governor. So all three, you know, Greg Abbott's been our governor for quite some time. So all three commissioners of the TCQ are Greg Abbott appointees. They're obviously supposed to just be applying state law and they're supposed to be neutral in this. But I can tell you from my experience in practicing this area of law, they are very much in favor of finding ways to grant both mud applications and wastewater discharge applications.
And Roxanne has the floor, and I apologize, I just saw your hand.
Oh, that's okay. You say Don is working on being our expert witness. Is he doing this pro bono by any chance?
I believe so. I
He is?
haven't seen his bills, but no, I believe he's doing this in his professional capacity.
Oh, okay, so he's charging us for his expertise. If in the fact that we decide not to go ahead with our contested case and pull out, is it SOS that's also filed? Would they be carrying the torch and using their expert witnesses?
Correct. SOS would be the last, I believe, there are individual property owners that are also parties in the mud proceeding. So some of them are in this room. So if the city were to withdraw from the proceeding on the mud, SOS would remain a party and individuals would remain parties, and there would still be a contested case hearing. but we would not be allowed to participate in it or submit our expert testimony if it were to happen before our deadline. Right now, I'm operating under the direction I've received from city council to prepare that testimony. Because we have to, if we get up to August 30th and we haven't submitted testimony, we will not have much of a seat at the table. We would just be able to rely on testimony that other parties submitted.
Yes.
How would this affect our mud case as a whole? Because it's not on the agenda for us to withdraw at this time, or what have you. You prepare the comments, there's the minute before the deadline. And hypothetically, if we withdraw in September, would those comments be taken into consideration, or once we withdraw, they're moved?
Once we withdraw, if we were to withdraw after we submitted our pre-filed written testimony, at the hearing, there would no longer be a witness to offer that testimony into evidence. So it would essentially no longer be something that other parties would rely upon, because we wouldn't be there to introduce it.
Then it'll be up to the residents to carry the torch for the city. The few of us who are affected party status.
Well,
I do believe SOS is also has expert testimony they're going to submit. I haven't reviewed it. Obviously their deadline's the same as ours, so it's not there yet.
So the way this reads now, what action can the city council take? Because it does say receive and take appropriate action regarding, their application with TCEQ to create a mud.
You're right. My initial thought was this is an update item. The agenda says take appropriate action. The Open Meetings Act and the cases that interpret it say that your agenda has to give the public notice of what the substance of what you're going to be discussing is. And it's not a very high bar.
Yeah.
You don't have to spell out everything that could happen at the meeting. You just have to tell the public, hey, this is the thing we're gonna be talking about, and we might be taking action on it. So because it says take appropriate action regarding the mud case, if the council wished to make a motion and approve that motion to withdraw from the proceeding, I think you'd have that authority under the agenda item that you have.
So if the council takes no action, then the train is just moves on.
Right.
Because
That's right.
of prior direction. If we take action to say no, we need to save our money, and the chances of winning are like minuscule, then we cut it off. Or we could say, yes, we want you to go, we want to reinforce that we want to proceed on. So those are the three actions that the council could take.
I think that's right. I mean, really, it's stay or go.
Yeah.
I think if the council wished to direct us to file a petition to withdraw, I think you have that authority.
Yeah. So anyways, you've heard my opinion. It's up to y'all to make a motion or not make a motion. Yes, sir.
Well, I would prefer that we just stay and next month make a decision to go forward or not. But once we get those petitions and they're submitted to the QCA, all those expert testimony and everything, it's already written and sent to TCEQ. And as a city, I don't see how they can ignore that.
Are you finished? Are you finished? Okay, go ahead.
Need to come to our home world. You will love that. Going back to the previous question. Should we go forward? You prepare the testimony, you and John. We incur the expense for both experts. If we don't do it now, we submit it. And next month, if we withdraw, then we would have expended the funds for no reason. It will not remain on the record. We will not be heard.
It will not be.
Our voices will not be heard. It is moved after that. We either fight all the way or we quit now.
That's
It
correct.
appears what we are in the David and Goliath situation, of course. that appears to be on the surface what we're looking at.
When the hearing on the merits occurs October 15th, if we have withdrawn, we will not be there to submit the, and enter the testimony of Mr. Rauschuber into the hearing.
We only have between now and October 15th.
That's what-
Fight between now and October 15th, at what cost?
I don't know what the amount of time Mr. Rauschuber or what rate he bills at, so it's tough for me to estimate. I will need to review his testimony in order to make sure it's, you know, the right legal issues it's hitting on. Maybe help him a little bit with, you know, correcting the subject matter and hitting the elements that the statute needs, that we need to hit on. It usually doesn't take a ton of attorney time. It takes more engineering time. At the hearing, it'll be both of us there. So unfortunately, there is the hourly expense of both of us to be there, for that, whether it's one complete day, a day and a half. After that, there's closing arguments, which are in writing in these proceedings. So instead of me standing up there and giving a big fancy speech for 20 minutes, it will be in the form of a written document where I write, or one of my colleagues in my firm writes, here's what the evidence Your Honor heard is. Here are the elements of the statute that the applicant milestone is required to meet. Here's why the evidence demonstrates that they didn't meet it. We will please issue a proposal for decision that recommends denial of the MUD.
What is your legal opinion regarding the odds for success all the way through?
It's low.
Yeah.
Percentage wise,
It's very low.
if you're a betting man,
It's in single digits.
single digits, less than 10% odds for success.
Sure. I have just very recently a case where we got the judges to issue a proposal for decision recommending denial of the MUD creation. And those TCEQ commissioners sat up there and said, we see that the protestants issued, you know, evidence. And we just don't think it really successfully rebutted what the applicant said. So we're going to reject what the judges found. The judges who sat for the hearing considered all the evidence, read all the briefing, issued their decision because they're lawyers and judges. Those commissioners who are not lawyers or judges replaced it wholesale with their own conclusions and granted the MUD. It's low.
And sure, more question.
You
I'd
bet.
like to know, Roxanne, what is your opinion, ma'am? Buy, save your money, or, you know, go big or go home and keep our money?
Why, that's a tough call. I don't know. I can see both sides of this. And I don't know.
We fight between here and October. We expend the funds between now and October, and then the ruling,
But unfortunately, there is briefing after October as well.
right, into February.
February.
Yeah, to February 11th.
It's
And the governor is not up for re-election in November.
No, it's not. 2 more years.
That's right.
Yeah,
oh,
2 more suffering years, but
Is there anybody that has a running tally of how much this is costing us or projected cost for the, you know,
fund itself.
yeah,
as the former city treasurer, the answer is no.
okay.
Because one, I would have to go through each bill for our lawyer or city attorney, and you know, see which ones relate to that and which don't. His bills have been in the 2,000 or so a month. This last month it was 3,000 and something, so they haven't been, you know, big heartache. When I look at it, I'm all
That big heartache.
Big heartache.
That heartache.
only, and unfortunately, our city engineer, he's had a lot of struggles this year. He's billed us from May through July, but not from September through April. So I have no idea how much he's put into this. So I'm sorry, I can't give you an answer. And
Okay,
it's not totally my fault.
No, that's just gonna
right.
be, so. Yeah, the prudent thing to do, since,
Did you?
didn't wash my hand, I'm sorry, new mayor, I gotta get used to the new mayor here.
Trying to get you in the right, good habits.
Good habits. I got bad habits.
Yes, sir.
Uh, It is a hard decision to make, but. If. If we are so desperate that. We. Slim chance of winning. Then we should just stop the bleeding and. And vote no.
I have fought lesser odds than one. I have brought Governor Ann Richards to my home, invited her to my home. My mother was dying, where my father's case was caught at the VA. I fought and fought and fought. She'd been sent home to die. I called the governor. She came to my home and we discussed the case. Within days of her dying, made the front page, within days of her death. She lived 4 more years. But because I rallied and gave it everything that I had and was willing to die for it before letting my mother die.
So choice.
So I fought lower odds than one. My grandbaby is a 27-week-old, was resuscitated multiple times, and he's alive today and well.
So let's,
Make a motion.
You're like, put your money where your mouth is. I wanna know how much money.
Yeah, we disapprove the
How much
meeting.
money?
well,
How much money am I betting here? I'd like to know how much money am I betting? I need to know. Tough one if I don't know. Am I spending $20,000 of the city's money? 40, 50, 10? What are we spending?
Here,
Second.
Hold on,
Let him
okay.
answer the
Okay.
question. Then you-
from this point to a decision by the commissioners of TCQ. It's gonna be more than 20, I mean, more than $40,000. I don't know the exact. number.
Combined experts, you and Don, or just you and her?
For the total cost of the proceeding, me and Don, probably $60,000. It's a significant amount of work and,
Of course.
I tried to be upfront about that at the beginning.
Of course.
Discussing this.
No, we appreciate
If I
that.
didn't make that clear, I'm sorry.
No, you did.
then you did.
Okay, Tony, you have the floor.
I forgot what I was gonna do. So. A motion, we table this to next meeting. No?
May I ask a question?
You sure may.
I would like to know Candace's opinion, sir, and Gail's opinion. Before we take a vote, I'd like to know individually the councilwoman's opinion on this matter, before filing a motion. Alex, how do you feel about this?
I made a motion.
So I think that Josh did give us at least $40,000 figure some time ago, and I was fine with that, and if it's more than 40,000 to 60,000, I'm okay with that too. I think it needs to be fought.
Gail, do you have an opinion?
I don't, because I don't know enough about the finances here.
And did you make a motion?
I did, but
Would you repeat it? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
I was gonna vote it down, so I don't know. I withdraw my motion.
Can we give Gail more information so that she can make a well-versed, well-educated decision on the matter? Can we give her an overview of the financial picture? And we know how much we're going to spend so that she can take an educated vote on the matter?
Well,
It's one of the most important things that we're going to do as city officials.
in the budget, we have legal costs, $40,000. So that's legal, 35,000 for the city, which would encompass something like this. So this would be, we didn't put enough in the budget. And so So the budget shows already a reduction of our nest egg of over $400,000 out of $1.9 million. Because we have, you know, to me, the most important mission of the city council is the water system. The water system.
Yeah.
And we've been focused, spending money and fighting those milestones. I tell you, it just hurts me a lot. Milestone and what they did with the ETJ and all this stuff, but you know, I want to spend the money. Go ahead.
Two things, if I may. I believe we allocated $204,000 for our country lane well number 3. Thus far, we're at about $135,000, so we would be below budget $65,000. If we tighten the reins on that project, it's the cost savings and just the water project. And I know we want to protect our water in the sense that we want to bring up the well. If we're gonna have contaminated water, then we've spent all of this money on the well for dirty water or water that's gonna kill us at some point and our neighbors. So if we could come in under budget, we're at 135-ish. We allocated 204. If we could keep him and hold him to 150 or 160, then we could make up more than the difference in the increase in funds to fight this all the way through. Is that an option?
Do you want my frank opinion?
Yes. Of course.
That's a bad argument.
So,
It's just. I don't know. No, I'm kind of kidding. It's not a bad argument. It's a decent argument, but it's. You
well,
know,
the money is the money that we're
two-
concerned about.
The two issues kind of had to stand on their own, in my opinion. And the big picture is we're already seeing a significant drop in our reserves. And you know, he's saying it's 5% or 6% chance of succeeding.
Or 9.
Or 9, maybe 9. But
Yes.
milestone is. You know. I don't want to have to deal with those people anymore, so
I'm in
I want to save our money out. I'm sorry, you know, this development over here has been sold to us as our pot of gold. And we're all, oh yeah, we're gonna be like Sunset Valley. It was sold to us. And we've lost all power. Terrible state on. So I just think we're throwing good money after a losing cost, but that's my opinion. Yes, ma'am.
So if they get the, you know, if they get the mud and the T-lap and they do all of that and they're pumping out like crazy and, you know, nobody in this area is gonna have water. I mean, you know, it's happening all over the state where people actually are running out of water. And then what are we gonna do? We won't have money to sell to Elliott Ranch. We won't even have our own water.
We'll be selling our properties at pennies to the dollar.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, so that's, I mean, that's a likely, not even a long-term possibility. So I.
Finish.
Yeah.
Roxanne has, and then now.
Yeah, I was just gonna remind Candace that the pumping allowance goes through the BSEACD and they're already, I think, on board as to limit what kind of, how much water they're allowed to pump out for this development. That in itself could limit the size of his development. But, you know, that still doesn't really address the issue of us in our city. You know, we've shelled out a ton of money over the years for this development and have very, very little to show for it. And I just don't, I'm really on the fence about going forward. Don't want to throw good money after bad. But at the same time, you know, this is for the residents here. This is kind of the fight that that we need to fight, you know, for us, for them, and everybody else who draws water from the aquifer. So,
Thank you. Dale?
And I think she said more or less what I wanted to say.
All right, folks.
And one more thing.
Yes, sir.
After listening to everybody's comments and everybody's, it's a hard thing to do, but what, we need two things to survive, is water and air. If water goes, you don't have anything. So after listening to everybody's comments, I mean, we might end up losing, but there's a chance that we're gonna win. There's a slight chance, so we might as well win. Might as well go for it. Instead of worrying about it, that we do our best to ensure that the water qualities and then it's drinkable water at the end of our term here. But once they start pumping water and it's contaminated and put a sewage treatment plant, they start dumping sewage over there. The North 40 it's gonna be bad. So I would say that we have to fight the fight. Whether we win or lose, we have to fight the fight. We should fight to win, not to lose.
All righty, well, for us to fight the fight, it doesn't take any action by the council for us to put a stop to this hemorrhaging of money, not quite.
I understand.
No, that's it.
Be dramatic.
I understand.
Now, mind you.
My services cost city's money. I
We,
I appreciate
That's okay.
the hardship.
we have to take affirmative action to be negative on the mud, so. Somebody wants to make a motion, do it now, otherwise we'll move on.
Also mention, I forgot to mention this before, I don't have many updates on what City of Austin is or is not doing, but it's my understanding the developer is still pursuing getting water and sewer service from City of Austin.
okay.
Never called us
that-
back for a meeting. Sorry.
I heard from the attorney for Milestone 3 or 4 weeks ago saying he was still trying to set up a meeting with the City of Austin. And I have not heard anything from him since then.
But that wouldn't, they want a mud either way.
They will want to mud either way, because the mud would still be useful for the developer, for roads, water lines, drainage, things of that nature. So even if they end up getting water and sewer service from City of Austin, they'll still want to create the mud so they can build the infrastructure they need to receive that service.
Yeah.
So if the city wished to make a comment to City of Austin, supporting City of Austin providing that service, the city could. That's an option to you, but I don't have unfortunately any further update of whether City of Austin is inclined to do that or not.
Are these? Yeah.
Do you have something? Okay, go ahead. Everybody, all they want.
Oh,
So,
I hope y'all aren't sleepy.
no 3-minute limit.
Thank you. I hope I go to bed at 1 a.m. or 2
But you
a.m.
have to stay on.
On
the
topic,
agenda.
that's right.
Yes.
I really appreciate everyone's comments, and I know that we're all abiding by our oath and trying to protect the city and the interests of the city and our water source and what have you. It's hard for me personally to separate the two. The mud I see as facilitating the TILA. If we drop the mud and I know that they're each their own. If we drop the mud in the mud fight and save the 50,000-60,000. And we continue to pursue the TILA. Right? Those are two separate entities, two separate issues. I see it as one facilitates the other, but they're two separate transactions. And that's where I feel that perhaps even if we discuss this a little bit more, it come to an understanding tonight as a council, as a whole, and we can make a decision whether or not to expend the funds if we have a better understanding that one does not equate the other, that not giving up, but not pursuing the mud battle would not affect our standing with the TLAP. Because I associate them one with the other very closely. And so if I'm not an expert, I've learned so much in all of this. I personally have protected party status, the city, for all the reasons we want to protect, especially our water, and I know we're strong environmentalists here. We want to protect our water, and we see that perhaps giving up on the mud fight is not fighting for, giving it all we've got. I know that our dollars are limited. We have a little more information for our council members. Would that change anything this evening? If we talk about anything a little bit further and how they're different, one is left, one is right. Would that change things?
It's my opinion that whether or not we protest the mud and the mud gets created or not, does not have an effect on whether the TLAB gets created and whether or not we protest the TLAB. There are a lot of muds that are created in Texas that are not building sewer facilities at all. Because they're gonna get sewer from a neighboring city. But then there are muds that do both water and sewer. There are muds that only do water, there are muds that only do sewer. They don't have to do those things. They're requesting those powers, in this case, Milestone is, to give themselves the option of building sewer plants if they feel that they need it.
And the mud would facilitate that for them.
The mud would be the entity that builds and operates the sewer plant, yes. So if the city of Hayes did not protest the mud, really, whether we protest it or not, if the mud gets created, is still a completely independent and separate proceeding to determine whether the TCQ grants a permit for the TLAB.
Since Milestone is all trickery, and we've been trying to come to the table with them to pursue water from Austin for how many months now?
I mean,
So
we've
for that
been
campaign,
asking
our
for a
decision
meeting with them,
for
but
months.
we have not received that meeting. They've asked for a letter of support and we have not issued that letter of support. So we don't have a position pro or con right now on whether the city of Austin provides, whether we want city of Austin to provide that service.
We did agree last time that we would like to go to the city of Austin. The council said we would like to go in person to give our support for the city of Austin to provide water. We did not want to provide a letter because we don't trust the other party. And so they could not be used out of context in many of the hearings that are coming in.
I don't think that letter could be used in that way in those hearings, especially given that we're gonna be a party in those proceedings. We'd be the ones to be able to say exactly what it means. We'd be the ones to write what it means, what it says.
Because we saw it at the BSEAD board meeting, and they were speaking for us.
We've taken no action. So there, if the city of Austin wants to hear that there's no opposition to the city of Austin providing water and sewer to the project, they have not heard pro or con from City of Hayes. I don't know if they've heard from other entities. My guess is they've heard from SOS saying, don't do it, don't provide service. We don't want this development. I don't know if Buda has talked to City of Austin. I have no knowledge.
And if I may, sir, do we know, since Don announced his retirement first part of the year, and our project's not going to be finished until February, is he going to complete the projects that he has started?
I think we're off the agenda.
It's all tied in. We're protecting our water. We want to do the mud to protect our water, but we don't know if we're gonna have another well because our engineer just announced his retirement.
We'll need an agenda item.
Let me say something real quick and I'll straighten it out. He's gonna retire from part of his work, but he'll be an inspector that he can oversee the project.
Yeah. He said he would install something.
Are we the consulting project?
I see that the mud, Milestone almost has to have the mud
Mhm.
to be able to do the project. No matter what they do, because
They're funding it.
they want to charge whoever's gonna buy the home, so. The businesses to pay for the infrastructure.
That's right.
Not them.
Whether it's water and sewer or just roads and sidewalks, drainage, stormwater, all that's.
I mean, I think probably that's the way they do business. And they expected just for us to approve the mud way back there when we said no, and then the county said no. And. But I don't think it relates to the TLAP at all. I mean, the TLAP is environmental issue and whether this is a good thing for the aquifer or, you know, it's just totally different. And I think the commissioners being not only pro-developers, but they're gonna look at, oh, these poor people, they put in all this money on this land and they want to do these beautiful tract homes there and we can't say no. This stage, let them have their mud. That's the way they're gonna think, in my opinion. Because they've already gone down the road and spent so much money and time and effort.
That's how we-
and everything.
That's how
And
we,
So that's. I think there's, the chances of their denying it would be like 1%. So
1%.
anyways. I'm let's make a motion, somebody, or we're gonna move on.
Roxanne?
I'm leaning towards staying in there for now.
It's kind of a now or never move. If we expend the funds now, then we withdraw later, then we would have already expended the funds. It
Okay,
appears that that's the case
it's
right now.
okay with everybody, 6 eyes completed.
Mhm.
Okay.
6M this is the last agenda item. Another one of my favorite issues, receive update on Hartford insurance claim.
Oh, wow.
And Hartford insurance claim is. Well, IRS has denied most of the claims for refunds on the penalty. But we had 2 agents that looked at it. One in Mississippi, and she denied most of them. She had most of the cases, but it didn't affect the period when the city got the insurance for Connie. And so Hartford rightfully says, well, we're not gonna pay for anything Connie did bad prior to that, which is almost all of it. And so, but the agent that had that said, oh, yeah, I'm giving you back your penalties and everything. But she had the recent years. And so then I wrote Hartford, because Hartford's always, every couple of months they want an update on how things are with us and IRS. And I said, I sent them all the stuff of the denials, and they sent back a list of about like 10 items they wanted. I mean, it was just like, please. And, because now we're not talking about much money. Even if they paid the claim, we're talking about $1,500. So I'm just saying that I'm not putting any more work on it, and we'll see what happens. I may eventually go back to the denial because, I've had one agent say, yes, we'll refund your money, and the other, no. And so I might go back to the no and say, well, you're taking an inconsistent position because they said yes. And it's the same issue, but that's a long shot probably. So that's my update. Anybody have any comments or anything? Yes, ma'am.
This doesn't say receive and take appropriate action. so that we could make a decision collectively on whether to continue to pursue the claim. I know that this is a matter of $1,500, but through subrogation, should the insurance company pay out the claim, through subrogation, they will pursue the person's wrongdoing, and that person will then be in serious trouble because of it. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Because then the city, is that correct, Joshua? If we have the insurance claim pay out on the claim because of wrongdoing from our former city secretary, and she was terminated for wrongdoing, then she would have to pay the insurance company? Or would that then be criminal activity?
I don't know that they would or wouldn't. They may, I don't have the policy in front of me, so I don't know the answer. It's probably an amount that's small enough that they wouldn't do it. It will cost them more money than it's worth to pursue that against her. So my hunch is that they would not, but I don't even know if what their policy is on subrogation, so I can't say.
That's why, if we add it to the agenda at the next meeting, so that we can, at least on one item, stop the hemorrhaging, then we would say we're no longer going to pursue that claim because it's $1,500 and we probably expended more than that in pursuit of this claim.
To be honest, I have not been spending a lot of time on this matter for that reason.
Mayor Harvey has,
I know Mayor Harvey has, and his time's valuable.
has the council as well.
Yeah,
Dale, did you have something?
Yeah, but I forgot it already because it got so interesting, so.
It's regarding the.
My response is, my preference is, let's forget about it, let's not, it's too. You know, we got
Labor
enough problems.
Right.
Did you want this back on the agenda? Let me know,
Well, if
I'll
we
put
want it on the agenda so that we can vote to stop, so we can.
You tell me, write out an agenda language and I'll reluctantly put it on the agenda, but
So if you don't want it on the agenda so that we can formally stop pursuing it?
no, really don't, because
Okay.
my non-response to Hartford,
Is the action in itself,
it's action of its in of
Exactly.
itself. So,
okay?
Uh,
So they would close the claim on their own.
they eventually will under her.
yeah.
Interesting.
So, sure, folks.
Well, what did we finally put for I?
This is mine.
What?
For I.
Did I miss something?
No, you say completed.
So no action was taken.
No action.
Yes.
No action was taken on I at this time.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a long
Do
meeting.
you adjourn with your gavel, Mayor Harvey?
What?
Yeah, wish.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Roxanne, thank you so much for joining us,
Thank
Roxanne.
you, you were very
It's good to
helpful.
see everybody. Y'all take care. Is it over?
I'm gonna come down tomorrow and finish this.
Is it over?
Yeah, and I've got
Yes,
those
ma'am.
checks I've gotta do too.
Oh, well, let me sign the minutes. No, but I.
No, we're not gonna
No,
do it,
we're
we're
gonna
gonna
do
fill
it.
in the other. And I'm gonna change it to your name on the
Yeah.
minutes, Mayor.
Mayor,
I gotta
Yeah.
change it.
stop the meeting.
Oh, yeah. How do we do that?
And the meeting's over. And the meeting's on.